They declared her dead. She came back 4,000 meters away to prove them wrong. Her name was struck from every record. Her file sealed under classified clearance. Her dog tag returned to a mother who cried for 3 days straight, told that her daughter died a hero in a mission that officially never happened. That was 3 years ago. Today, she was standing on a live firing range in the Nevada desert, holding a rifle that most men couldn't even lift, staring at a target so far away it was invisible to the naked eye. And every soldier on that line was about to learn one thing. You don't bury a ghost, you just delay her return. Fort Marlow, Nevada. 0600 hours. The morning sun had barely cracked the ridge when the training battalion assembled at the long-range qualification range. 43 soldiers, mostly young, mostly loud, checking scopes and joking about weekend passes. The kind of crowd that laughed easily and forgot quickly. Sergeant Major Deacon Walsh ran the line with iron authority. 22 years in the Army, 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. He had seen every type of soldier this country could produce. Cocky ones, broken ones, and on rare occasions, the quiet ones. The ones who never explained themselves and never needed to. He hadn't noticed her until she was already setting up. She stood at position 12, furthest from the group. Her uniform was desert tan, worn clean but not new. No unit patch on her shoulder, no rank insignia that stood out. Her hair was pulled back in a tight knot, and her face carried the kind of stillness that doesn't come from confidence, it comes from having already survived the worst thing that could happen to a person. The rifle she placed on the bipod stopped 3 nearby soldiers mid-sentence. It was a Chaytak M200 intervention. A precision long-range rifle used by the most elite designated marksmen in the U.S. and British Special Forces. It wasn't standard issue. It wasn't even close to standard issue. And the woman setting it up with the quiet precision of someone who had done this 10,000 times was not in anyone's roster for the day. Walsh walked over, arms crossed. "Who are you, soldier?" She looked up without flinching. "Cole. Sergeant First Class Maya Cole. Attached for temporary qualification review." Walsh frowned. "I don't have a Cole on my list." "Orders came through intelligence liaison," she replied, handing him a folded clearance slip. "You can verify with command if you'd like. The number's at the bottom." He looked at the paper. It was legitimate. He handed it back, still uneasy. "What's your classification?" She allowed the faintest trace of something, not quite a smile, to cross her face. "Unclassified today." Walsh stepped back, unsatisfied but outmaneuvered. Around him the whispers had already started. "Who is she? Never seen her before. What unit is she? Why does she have an intervention?" One corporal, young and all bravado, called down the line. "Hey, where'd you get that rifle, ma'am? Borrow it from a museum?" A few laughs, the usual. She didn't respond. She lay down behind the rifle, adjusted the stock against her shoulder, and opened her spotter's notebook, a battered brown journal filled with wind charts, elevation data, and handwritten calculations that covered more pages than most soldiers' entire field journals. At the range tower, Colonel Richard Graves stood reviewing the morning's performance targets. 58 years old, chest full of decorations, and a political career inside the military that had been built on knowing which wars to win and which ones to quietly lose. He noticed the unusual setup at position 12 through his binoculars and felt something cold move through his chest. He lowered the binoculars slowly. His aide, Captain Holloway, noticed the change in his expression. "Sir? Something wrong?" Graves didn't answer immediately. He raised the binoculars again, looked at her rifle, looked at the way she held her body, the specific posture of someone trained in the exact program that had been shut down 3 years ago, a program he had personally recommended for termination. "Find out who cleared her for this range," he said quietly. Now, range qualification began at 0700. The standard targets were set at distances ranging from 800 meters to 1,500 meters. Most soldiers landed within acceptable groupings. A few missed entirely. The range hummed with the rhythmic crack of rifles and the brass clatter of ejected casings. Maya Cole did not fire a single round for the first 40 minutes. She lay completely still, watching. Not the targets, the environment. Every few minutes she would note something in her journal: a flag movement at the 900-meter mark, a dust trail from a passing vehicle half a mile east, the subtle lean of desert brush at the 2,000-meter perimeter. Walsh eventually stopped beside her again. "You planning on shooting today, Cole?" "Waiting," she said. "For what?" She turned a page in her journal. "The wind always drops between 7:45 and 800 hours out here. 3-minute window. That's when I'll shoot." Walsh stared at her. "You've been here before." She didn't confirm or deny it. At 0747, she closed the journal. She adjusted her elevation turret, click by deliberate click, calculated Coriolis effect, air density, and bullet drop across a distance that made every other shooter on the line irrelevant. Then she dialed her scope to a setting that made Holloway, watching from the tower, actually read the number twice. 4,200 meters. "Sir," Holloway said carefully, "she's targeting the impact bunker. That's the range boundary marker. Nobody shoots at that distance. It's not even a registered target." Graves had gone very still. Maya inhaled slowly. The Nevada desert stretched out in silence. For 3 full seconds she held completely motionless, not a muscle moved, not a breath released. Then she squeezed the trigger. The intervention's report split the morning air like a crack of thunder. The recoil rolled through her shoulder and she absorbed it without moving a centimeter out of position. She kept her eye on the scope. 1 second. 2. 3. 4. Then a distant metallic ring. Faint, like a bell at the far edge of the world, but unmistakable. The impact sensor on the boundary bunker lit up on the range display screen. Dead center. The entire firing line went silent. A young British exchange officer standing at position 8 slowly removed his ear protection and stared at the display screen. "Did she just?" he started. No one finished his sentence. Walsh looked at the screen, looked at the distance readout, looked back at the screen. He had been doing this job for 12 years. He had seen good shots. He had seen remarkable shots. He had never seen anything that required a second reading to believe. He walked to position 12. Maya Cole had already ejected the casing, caught it, and placed it carefully in her front pocket. "That's 4,200 meters, Walsh said. The words came out flat, like he was still processing them. 4,187 precisely, she corrected quietly. "I don't round up. Orst underscrew, or scored underscrew, or not underscrew, scorest not underscrew. Carsai yet fenitwise not underscrew." Colonel Graves left the observation tower without a word to anyone. Inside the base records office, he pulled a sealed file from the bottom drawer of a locked cabinet. It was stamped in red across the cover: Operation Nightfall, Casualty Confirmed, Kia. And below the operation name, in standard military type, a name. Cole, Maya A., Sergeant First Class, Unit, Shadow Thread, Status, Killed in Action. He stared at it for a long time. Shadow Thread had been a joint US-UK covert sniper program. 6 operators. Embedded deep in northern Syria for 63 days, running precision eliminations against high-value targets with 0 civilian casualties and 0 footprint. The most successful classified operation of its kind in a decade. And then Command had made a decision. The intelligence that Shadow Thread had been generating was beginning to contradict a specific narrative, one that several very senior officials had built their careers on. The kind of intelligence that, if it reached the public or an oversight committee, would unravel years of policy and expose decisions that were never meant to see daylight. So the operation had been burned. A falsified ambush report. Fabricated coordinates sent to a hostile militia. 6 operators dropped into a kill zone with no extraction, no air support, and no warning. Graves had signed the authorization. He had told himself it was necessary. He had told himself that was what war required sometimes. He had put the file in the bottom drawer and moved forward with his career and his decorations and his carefully constructed reputation. He had told himself they were all dead. That evening, Walsh found Maya Cole sitting alone at the far end of the base canteen, a cup of black coffee in front of her and her journal open to a page dense with numbers and wind notations. He sat down across from her without asking permission. "I made some calls," he said. She looked up. "Shadow thread," he continued carefully. "I know what it was. I know what happened to it." She didn't react, just held his gaze with those steady, unreadable eyes. "You were all supposed to be dead." "We were supposed to be," she said. "Two of us weren't. Who else made it? Doesn't matter right now." Walsh leaned forward. "Cole, if you're here for what I think you're here for, you need to understand what you're walking into. Graves has friends in places that—" "I know exactly what Graves has," she said quietly. "I spent 2 years in a Syrian safe house with nothing but time and a satellite radio and a very long list of questions. I know every call he made, every authorization he signed, every person he protected by burning us." She closed the journal. "I didn't come back to report him." Walsh frowned. "Then what did you come back for?" She looked at the window. Outside, the Nevada sky was darkening to a deep desert blue, stars beginning to appear one by one at the edges of the horizon. "He doesn't know I'm alive," she said. "He's been comfortable for 3 years. He thinks the desert swallowed us and the file stays closed forever." She paused. "Today I reminded him what it feels like to see a shot he thought was impossible. Tomorrow the evidence we've been collecting lands on a Senate Oversight Committee's desk." She picked up her coffee cup. "I didn't come back to destroy him with a bullet. I came back to destroy him with the truth and make sure he looked me in the eye first." Walsh was quiet for a long moment. "That shot today," he finally said. 4,000 meters. Was that really just about the wind? She allowed herself a real smile for the first time, small, controlled, but real. It was a message. He needed to know that everything he buried came back intact. _Sorkel. 3 weeks later, Colonel Richard Graves, _Sorkel. 3 weeks later, Colonel Richard Graves resigned from his position citing health concerns. The official statement was brief and polished. No details, no admission. The kind of exit that powerful men engineer when the alternative is a courtroom. But inside a Senate briefing room in Washington, D.C., 47 pages of documented intelligence, intercepted communications, and field logs from Operation Nightfall were entered into a classified record that would not stay classified for long. And on a base in Nevada, a plaque appeared at the edge of the long-range firing line. Small. Steel. No name on it, just a number engraved in clean, simple type. 4187 M. Walsh stood in front of it the morning it appeared and understood immediately. She hadn't left a signature or a message or a demand for recognition. She had left the only thing that mattered, proof that she existed, that she had been there, and that she had not missed. Somewhere, in a city or a safe house or the next mission nobody would ever read about, Maya Cole was already gone again. No ceremony, no medals, no record that anyone who mattered would ever be allowed to access. Just a woman who had been declared dead, and a shot at 4,000 meters that made a general go quiet and a liar go pale. She never needed them to believe she was alive. The rifle already said it louder than any flag-draped coffin ever could.